James had always believed in loyalty. It was the foundation of everything he stood for: his service, his friendships, his marriage. He had spent over a decade serving his country, facing horrors most people could never comprehend. He had seen men bleed out in the dirt, heard their last words, and carried their memories like ghosts that never left him. Through it all, the one thing that kept him going was Emily. Her letters, her words of love and devotion, had been his lifeline during the darkest days. He had dreamed of coming home to her, of finally living the peaceful life he had fought so hard to protect. When he finally did return, the adjustment was harder than he had expected. War changed a man. It made the world feel different, made home feel unfamiliar. But Emily was supposed to be his anchor. She greeted him with open arms, her smile bright, her voice full of joy. At least, that was what he had thought. In the beginning, everything felt almost perfect. She cooked his favorite meals, kissed him like she had missed him every single day, and held him close at night when the nightmares came. But soon, he began to notice the little things. She was distant, not in the way he had been when he first came back, struggling to adjust to civilian life, but in a way that made his gut twist with unease. She was always on her phone, her laughter no longer effortless but forced, her touch hesitant. When he looked into her eyes, he no longer saw the warmth that had once been there. He told himself he was overthinking it. Maybe she was just adjusting too, learning how to live with a man who had spent years in a war zone. Then, one evening, he found her sitting on the edge of their bed, phone in hand, tears streaming down her face. The sight hit him like a punch to the chest. He had seen her cry before, but never like this. Never with the kind of sadness that made it seem like the world was ending. "What's wrong?" he asked, stepping toward her. She startled, locking her phone and shoving it under the pillow. "Nothing," she said too quickly, her voice shaky. "Just tired." Lies. He had been lied to before, countless times by the enemy, by people who had something to hide. And now, his own wife was doing the same. Still, he wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that whatever was wrong, they could fix it. The doubts grew stronger with each passing day. She started coming home late from work, her excuses vague. The scent of an unfamiliar cologne lingered on her clothes. She turned away from him when they lay in bed, no longer reaching for him in the quiet hours of the night. James wasn't a fool. He had seen enough in his life to recognize when something was being kept from him, but he didn't want to believe it. He had survived war, loss, and pain. He couldn't survive losing her too. One night, he went for a walk to clear his mind. He had spent the past week convincing himself that he was imagining things, that his mind was playing tricks on him. But when he returned earlier than expected, everything came crashing down. He heard voices as he approached the front door. One was hers, soft, laughing, full of an affection he hadn't heard in months. The other was deeper, unfamiliar. His heart pounded as he stepped inside, moving quietly through the house. The voices were coming from the bedroom. His bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and through the gap, he saw them. Emily, tangled in the sheets, wrapped in the arms of another man. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. The betrayal hit him harder than any bullet ever had. His vision blurred, his hands clenched into fists, but no rage came. No tears, no screams, just a hollow, crushing emptiness. He had faced death, had seen friends die in his arms, had walked through hell and back. But this was what truly broke him. Emily gasped when she saw him. She scrambled to sit up, pulling the covers over herself, her face pale with shock. The man beside her cursed under his breath, grabbing his clothes in a hurry. "James!" she started, but he held up a hand. There was nothing left to say. No words could undo what had been done. Without another glance, he turned and walked away. Out of the room, out of the house, out of her life. He had given everything, his loyalty, his love, his trust. And in the end, it had all been for nothing.